You know what's coming before it happens. You feel it building in your chest. That heat, that tightness, that voice that starts whispering justifications before you've even closed the losing trade. You told yourself this morning would be different. You reviewed your rules. You promised yourself you'd stick to the plan. But here you are again, cursor hovering over the buy button, and every fiber of your psychology is screaming at you to take the trade you know you shouldn't take. This is the moment, not the loss you just took, not the profit you just missed. This moment, right here, between the emotion that just hit you and the trade you're about to make. This is where amateurs blow accounts and professionals build fortunes. This is where discipline either lives or dies. And the cruel truth about trading is this: you already know what you should do. The problem has never been knowledge. The problem is that fear and greed don't care what you know. You've read the books, you understand risk management, you've back-tested your strategy, you know that patience wins, you know that revenge trading is financial suicide, you know that chasing losses turns small mistakes into catastrophic ones. You know all of this, and yet when your money is on the line and that emotion floods your system, all of that knowledge vanishes like smoke. What remains is just you, the screen, and a feeling so powerful it makes $1,000 feel like the most important thing in the world. The gap between knowing and doing isn't about intelligence. It's about the 60 seconds between trigger and action. It's about what happens in your mind and body in that brief window when the market has just hurt you or tempted you or confused you and you haven't yet clicked anything. Most traders lose their edge in those 60 seconds, but what if there was a way to reclaim them? Let me tell you what happens in your brain when a trade goes against you. Your heart rate spikes, your vision narrows, your breathing becomes shallow. This isn't metaphorical. This is your nervous system responding to a perceived threat, except the threat isn't a predator, it's numbers on a screen, red numbers, and your primitive brain doesn't know the difference between losing $100 and losing your life. All it knows is that something valuable is being taken from you, and it floods your system with cortisol and adrenaline to prepare you for fight or flight. But here's what your brain doesn't understand about markets. Fighting back makes you lose more, and flight means you miss the next setup. So you're caught in a biological trap. Your psychology is trying to protect you using mechanisms designed for physical survival, but those same mechanisms destroy your trading account. Fear tells you to close winning trades too early. Greed tells you to hold losing trades too long. And when those emotions combine, they create something even more dangerous: the revenge trade. You know this pattern intimately. The market stops you out. The pain is immediate, but instead of stepping back, instead of reviewing what happened, instead of following your rules, you find yourself scanning for the next setup. Except you're not really looking for a setup. You're looking for justice. You're looking to get your money back. You're looking to prove that you were right and the market was wrong. And this is where discipline dies, because the trade you're about to take has nothing to do with your system. It has everything to do with your ego. Watch what happens to your risk management in this state. Your normal position size suddenly feels too small. After all, you just lost money. To make it back quickly, you need to risk more, so you double your position, maybe triple it. You tell yourself it's just this once. You tell yourself the setup is obvious. You tell yourself you'll go back to your rules after you recover. But the market doesn't care about your story. The market doesn't know you need this trade to work. And when it goes against you, when that larger position turns red, the spiral accelerates. Now you're not just down your original loss, you're down multiples of it. And your confidence, which is the foundation of consistent execution, begins to crack. Because consistency requires trust. Trust in your system, trust in your rules, trust in the long-term process. But every time you break your rules, every time you trade from emotion instead of execution, you erode that trust. You prove to yourself that you can't be trusted. And a trader who doesn't trust themselves is a trader who hesitates on good setups and jumps into bad ones. This is the hidden cost of emotional trading. It's not just the money you lose in the moment. It's the psychological debt you accumulate. Every revenge trade is a withdrawal from your discipline account. Every time you move your stop loss because you can't accept being wrong, you teach your brain that rules are negotiable. Every time you overtrade because you need action, you reinforce the pattern that boredom is dangerous and excitement equals opportunity. And over weeks and months, these small violations compound into a mindset that guarantees failure. The professionals, the ones who actually make it past year 3, they understand something crucial. The market will give you infinite opportunities to lose control. It will tempt you with perfect setups right after you've been stopped out. It will show you massive moves that you missed. It will create conditions that make your FOMO feel rational. This is not personal, this is just what markets do. They create emotional volatility alongside price volatility. And the trader who wins is not the one who never feels the emotion. It's the one who feels it fully and trades anyway, according to plan, with patience, with discipline, as if the emotion isn't even there. But how? The answer isn't what you think. You don't need more discipline. You don't need more willpower. You don't need to eliminate your emotions or become a robot. That's the lie that keeps amateur traders spinning. They think the goal is to feel nothing. They think professionals are somehow immune to fear and greed. But that's not how this works. Professionals feel everything you feel. The difference is in the 60 seconds after they feel it. Let me show you what I mean. You just got stopped out. Your chest is tight. Your hands are shaking. The urge to jump back in is overwhelming. This is the moment where most traders react. They click, they chase, they revenge trade. But here's what a professional does instead. They pause, not because they want to, not because it feels natural, but because they have a system that forces the pause, and that system is the 60-second reset. Here's how it works. The instant you feel the emotion, the instant you register that heat in your chest or that voice in your head pushing you toward a trade, you start a timer. 60 seconds. 1 minute. During that minute, you don't click anything. You don't adjust your stop. You don't size up your next position. You don't even close the chart. You just breathe and observe. That's it. That's the entire technique. 60 seconds of conscious pause between trigger and action. Sounds too simple, right? That's the trap. Your mind wants complexity. It wants a sophisticated solution to match the sophistication of the problem. But the problem isn't complex. The problem is that you react faster than you think. The problem is that emotion moves at the speed of instinct and rationality moves at the speed of deliberation. So you need a circuit breaker, something mechanical, something so stupidly simple that you can execute it even when you're tilted. 60 seconds. Count it out. Breathe. Watch what's happening in your body and mind. Don't judge it. Don't fight it. Just observe. What happens during those 60 seconds is everything. In the first 20 seconds, the emotion is still at peak intensity. Your brain is screaming at you. Get back in. Don't miss this. You need to recover. The market owes you. This is where most traders break. They can't tolerate the discomfort of inaction. They mistake movement for progress. They click just to feel like they're doing something. But you don't click. You breathe. You feel your feet on the floor. You notice your heartbeat. You let the emotion be there without letting it drive your hands. In the next 20 seconds, something shifts. The intensity starts to drop, not because the situation changed, not because the market gave you clarity, but because emotions are chemical events with a life cycle. They spike, they peak, they fade. If you don't feed them with action, they begin to metabolize. Your breathing deepens, your vision expands, you start to remember things, your rules, your plan. The fact that you've been in this exact spot before and reaction never improved the outcome. This is the space between stimulus and response that Viktor Frankl wrote about. In the final 20 seconds, you make a choice, not from emotion, not from ego, but from clarity. Maybe you realize the trade you were about to take violates your setup criteria. Maybe you see that your risk management is already at its limit for the day. Maybe you recognize that you're not in a state to execute well and the best trade is no trade. Or maybe you identify a legitimate setup that aligns with your system and you take it. But now you're taking it from a place of execution, not reaction. There's a difference. Can you feel it? This is the shift that separates millionaire traders from those who blow their accounts repeatedly. It's not that successful traders never feel the pull of revenge trading. It's not that they never experience fear or greed. It's that they've built a system that protects them from themselves. The 60-second reset is that system. It's a forced pause that gives your rational mind time to catch up with your emotional mind. And in that gap, in that brief window, you reclaim your power. But here's what you need to understand. This only works if you make it non-negotiable. You can't use it sometimes. You can't apply it when you remember. You can't skip it on trades that feel obvious. Every single time you feel the emotional trigger, you run the reset. Every single time, because consistency isn't about results. Consistency is about process. And the process is simple: feel the emotion, start the timer, breathe for 60 seconds, then decide. Let me give you the exact protocol. Because vague concepts don't change behavior, specific rituals do. The moment you recognize an emotional trigger, a loss, a missed opportunity, a frustrating chop, a strong urge to deviate from your plan, you do this: close your eyes or shift your gaze away from the charts. Take 3 deep breaths. Count them. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Then open a notepad or journal and write one sentence. I feel emotion because trigger. That's it. I feel angry because I got stopped out. I feel frustrated because I missed the entry. I feel greedy because I see a big move happening. Name it, claim it, write it down. Then you sit with it. You don't try to fix it. You don't rationalize it away. You don't tell yourself you shouldn't feel this way. You just let it be. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop fighting the emotion, it loses its power over you. The moment you acknowledge it, instead of suppressing it, it stops controlling your hands. Because the emotion isn't the problem. The problem is unconscious reaction to the emotion. The problem is clicking before thinking. The problem is letting fear and greed drive your position sizing, your entries, your exits, your entire trading day. After 60 seconds, you ask yourself 3 questions. Question 1: does this trade align with my system? Not does it feel right? Not am I sure it will work? But does it match my predefined criteria? If the answer is no, you don't take it. No exceptions. No, just this once. No negotiations. Question 2: am I in the right psychological state? If you're still tilted, if your heart rate is still elevated, if you're trading to prove something instead of trading to execute your edge, the answer is no. And if the answer is no, you step away. Question 3: have I followed my risk rules, position size, stop loss placement, daily loss limit? If you violated any of them, you don't take the trade. You honor the rules because the rules are what protect you from yourself. This is what discipline actually looks like. It's not willpower. It's not motivation. It's not trying harder. It's building a system that removes the need for willpower. It's creating a ritual so mechanical, so boringly consistent, that your emotional state becomes irrelevant. You feel rage, 60-second reset. You feel FOMO, 60 seconds. You feel invincible after 3 wins, 60-second reset. The emotion doesn't matter. The response is always the same. Pause, breathe, observe, decide. And here's what happens over time. At first, 60 seconds feels like an eternity. Your mind rebels. It tells you you're missing opportunities. It tells you you're overthinking. It tells you that real traders are decisive, not hesitant. Ignore it. That's your ego talking. That's the part of you that needs to be right more than it needs to be profitable. But if you stick with the reset, if you make it as automatic as checking your stop loss, something remarkable happens. The gap between emotion and reaction becomes your edge. The patience you're building becomes your because while everyone else is clicking from impulse, you're executing from clarity. The market rewards this, not immediately, not obviously, but consistently. Over weeks and months, you start to notice something. Your bad trades decrease, not because you're suddenly smarter, but because you're no longer taking the trades that were never part of your system. Your good trades get better, not because your analysis improved, but because you're entering from a calm state instead of a desperate one. Your equity curve smooths out, not because the market got easier, but because you stop being your own worst enemy. And your confidence, real confidence, not the fake confidence that comes from one good week, begins to build. Because you're proving to yourself, trade after trade, day after day, that you can be trusted, that when the pressure is on, when the money is real, when the emotion is intense, you follow your rules. This is the long-term game. This is what amateurs don't understand. They're chasing the next setup, the next system, the next indicator that will give them an edge. But they already have the edge. The edge is psychological. The edge is in the 60 seconds between feeling and doing. The edge is in the discipline to pause when every instinct screams action. The edge is in the consistency to honor your rules, even when breaking them feels justified. Master this and the money follows, not because you figured out the market, but because you figured out yourself. So here's what you do tomorrow. Before you open your charts, before you check the pre-market, before you even think about your watch list, you make yourself a promise. One promise. Simple, clear, non-negotiable. Every time you feel an emotional trigger today, you will pause for 60 seconds. Not because you want to, not because it feels comfortable, but because you're choosing process over impulse. You're choosing long-term consistency over short-term reaction. You're choosing to become the trader who can be trusted with real money, real pressure, real opportunity, and some days you'll fail. You'll feel the trigger and click anyway. You'll skip the reset because the setup looks too perfect. You'll convince yourself that this time is different, that you don't need the pause, that you can handle it. And then you'll watch the trade go against you and realize you just proved why the system exists. That's okay, that's not failure. That's feedback. Every violation of your rules is data. Every moment you react instead of respond is information about where your discipline still needs reinforcement. The millionaire traders, the ones who actually compound their accounts year after year, they didn't get there by being perfect. They got there by treating every mistake as tuition and every setback as curriculum. What you're building here isn't just a trading system, it's a mindset. It's the psychological infrastructure that separates those who survive from those who thrive. Because anyone can make money in a bull market. Anyone can have a lucky streak. But can you protect that money when the market turns? Can you maintain your discipline during a drawdown? Can you execute your rules when fear is screaming at you to close everything and greed is whispering that you should risk it all? That's where real traders are made, not in the wins. In the moments between the emotion and the action. In those 60 seconds where you choose clarity over compulsion. The beautiful thing about this reset is that it gets easier. Not because the emotions get weaker, they don't. You'll always feel the fear when you put money on the line. You'll always feel the greed when you see a massive move. You'll always feel the frustration when the market stops you out for the third time in a row. But what changes is your relationship to those feelings. They stop being commands and become information. They stop controlling your hands and start informing your awareness. You begin to notice them earlier, interrupt them faster, and return to neutral more efficiently. The pause becomes automatic. The breath becomes instinctive. The discipline becomes identity. And one day, months from now, you'll realize something profound. You'll be in the middle of a losing streak, the kind that used to send you spiraling into revenge trades and blown risk limits, and you'll catch yourself. You'll feel the trigger. You'll start the timer. 60 seconds. Breathe, observe, decide. And you'll close your platform without taking the revenge trade. You'll honor your daily loss limit. You'll step away with your psychology intact. And in that moment, you'll understand that you've already won. Not the trade, not the day, but the only battle that actually matters, the one with yourself. This is your edge. Not your strategy, not your indicators, not your ability to read charts. Your edge is in the space between feeling and trading. Your edge is in the patience to wait for your setup instead of forcing action. Your edge is in the confidence to sit on your hands when every cell in your body is screaming at you to do something. Your edge is in the consistency to follow your rules on the days when breaking them feels justified. This is what the market rewards. This is what compounds. This is what builds the kind of results that change your relationship with money, with risk, with yourself. So start today. One reset at a time, one pause at a time, one conscious breath between emotion and execution. The market will still be there, the opportunities will keep coming, but you'll be different. You'll be the trader who can handle them. You'll be the trader who trusts the process. You'll be the trader who knows that discipline isn't something you have, it's something you practice every single day, 60 seconds at a time.